and thank you for joining me for today's process video. And if you watch my previous video, you'll know that this background paper is the one that I created in that, and then it just didn't work with my photo. I said I would come back to it, and I didn't want it sitting there weighing heavy on my mind, so I've decided to use it for today. So this photo is the same day of Amelia and her friend Lucy out in Blackpool, seeing the Blackpool illuminations, and here they're playing on the arcade games, and Amelia's face is just a picture. She looks so excited about rolling that ball into the holes. So I've started with the background paper, which is Lindy's Magical Lara's Wild Mauve. I hope that's how you pronounce it. It's from one of the sets that they sell. And then I'm spreading some, I think it was picked raspberry, using one of the Tim Holtz Stampers Anonymous stencils over the back, just to create some more dots. Because she's rolling balls on this arcade game, I wanted to have lots of dots in this page, and you'll see how it all comes together. So the next thing I'm doing is coming in with one of my stamps. This is an All and Create stamp. It's great for adding a little bit of texture to the background, and I've just curled up the stamp and I'm doing just that using weathered wood. It's a nice neutral grey, leaning slightly blue, so that works really well. And then I'm going to come in with a load of circular stamps using my black archival ink. So this first set is a Vicki Boutin set, and I'm just going to add 2 or 3 of each of these circular elements to the background, slowly building up the circles across that horizontal strip. So I'm focusing in on the smaller circles in this collection. I've said it's Vicki Boutin. I think this is actually an All and Create stamp. Sorry about that. So just slowly building up, choosing different stamps. So that one's done. Now onto a Vicki Boutin stamp. I think this might be Print Shop. I've got so many different stamps, and I just pulled out all the circular ones. Vicki tends to have a circular element on every stamp set that she brings out, so it was easy to find plenty. Yes, you can see there it's Print Shop that I've used for this one. And I've used some with outlines and some with solids. This one reads more as a solid, so I'm just going to add that in a couple of places. And some of these will get covered up because I am going to bring in some pattern paper. It becomes a very busy layout, but I'm thrilled with how it turns out in the end. And then this is from her Bold and Bright collection. I love this colour wheel stamp. It just stamps a very fine image, so I'm going to use that top left and bottom right of the photo, and it will just peek out behind that photo. So because I'm going to bring in a lot of colours in papers punched out in circles, I'm not actually going to add any pattern papers to the back of my photo. The photo is just going to be matted in white and then black cardstock, just to keep it nice and clean and fresh so it doesn't blend into the background. So using that, I love that ring with the stamp splatter, with the ink splatters on, so I've just used that. And then coming in with another circular element. This is 2 circles, a darker outline and then a thinner line inside. So here I am just matting my photo, as I mentioned, just onto white, and then I'm going to bring in some black just to make it pop against those the very busy background. And you can see also that when I created this layout yesterday, I had intended for this to be a vertical strip down the page, the ink splatters, but in the end I decided that this would work better horizontally, with the photo being a portrait photo. So that's how it's going to sit on the page. Here are my hole punches. So I've pulled out, I think it was 1.5, 1 inch, 3/4 inch or 7/8 inch, and then my hole reinforcer punch. So now I'm just going to go through the papers from the Bold and Bright collection from Vicki Boutin and punch various sizes of circles, and I'm focusing in on the oranges, blues and pinks because they're the colours that I'm pulling out of the photo there. So just varying the sizes. I'm predominantly going in, I'm just looking at the page on tone papers. I like how they read as almost solids on the background, and it doesn't make it too busy in amongst all the other busyness. I love this blue. She does have some beautiful colours in her collections. And I'm looking at both sides of the papers that I've got to see what there is, because it's surprising how many have two different colours on. And this one's got beautiful butterflies on the background, but on that side it's got that gorgeous arch of the almost like an aqua blue. Now I pulled this one in because I thought I wanted some yellow on the page, but when I put it on it was so wrong. But it's got a nice blue on the reverse. It's like a grid on the reverse, so that's what I'm using instead. So almost there with the punching, and then I'm going to go through each circle, rough up the edges using my fingernails, and then glue them down. I won't make you watch me doing all of that because you've seen, and they are positioned more or less as they are on the page now. It takes a little while, but I've glued them all flat to the page. I didn't want too much dimension on this page, so I'm just keeping them all flat rather than raising some up on foam as I have done in the past. So just using my Nouveau Deluxe adhesive to get those glued down, and there we go, it's all glued down now. So now I'm coming in with a few more stamps. This is the Hey Little Magpie These Memories set, and it's got some really nice circular elements with words around. So this one says this was fun, so I thought that would work really nicely on the page. And then the other one that I pull out says fun times, so again in keeping with the photo. So just adding it a couple of places around, and then I'm going to pull out the one that says fun in a circle and just add that in a few places as well. So I managed to drop the stamp there, but it really doesn't matter because it's such a grungy looking layout. Having that shadowing is absolutely fine. I'm also trying to vary the way that the word is on the page so that it's straight in some stamped images and off kilter in others. So now I'm coming in with my whole reinforcer punch and just adding some black circles. That sort of mimics the black that I've got on the background of the photo as well. So just try not to overthink it and just throwing them down on the page and gluing them where they land. And I tend to do odd numbers when I do something like this. It's just a design principle that odd numbers always look better together than even numbers. So there we go. So just gluing those down now. And there are 6 on there at the moment, but one of them does come off. You'll see in the final photos. So now I'm going through the sticker sheet to see if there are any wordy bits that I can add, and I've got one that says remember today and one that says really excited. And then I found this half tab that I want to add, the label piece. It does get moved actually. I've put it to the right hand side there to start with, but I will move that. And then these are some little gold hearts just for scattering pieces, just to bring in some gold. Just seeing what else there is. And then I add this little cluster at the bottom. I do change the phrase on that. I add a different sticker over the top of that in a minute, just so that it's more in keeping with everything else that I add. And then I want to add my tab at the top so that I can add my date. So I'm just going to move that label over a bit so that that sits nicely there. I've got this pink lace from the Hey Little Magpie embellishment kits, our monthly embellishment kits that we do, and I just thought that that would bring in a nice pop of pink down the left hand side and also add a different texture to the page. So just tucking that under the photo and getting that glued down. Again, using that wet Nouveau Deluxe adhesive works really nicely for trims. So I'm going to commit to that tab because I know that's going at the top of the page. And then looking through the puffy stickers, I really wanted a title. I didn't know what I wanted, and then I saw lovely moments on this page, and I thought that would work really nicely. So I start off with it at the bottom here, but I don't really like the shape it's creating. At the moment, I like the fact that the layout's almost like a teardrop on its side, going to a point on the right-hand side, and that sort of messes with that. So you'll see I do move that shortly. Just adding some more scattery pieces, some little almost like star bursts from this puffy sticker sheet, and then I'm going into the small sticker book to see if there are any other phrases, and there's one that says highlights from today, so I'm going to add that at the top. Actually, I put it at the bottom here first. Oh no, that's a different one. That one says this is the place to be, and that's covering up that word that was on that green circular sticker. I just thought that looked better down there. So still messing with that title. Just having a look to see what else I can find. This is that one that I said highlights from today, and that goes at the top there. And then I found another one that says the best, and I'm going to pop that in the bottom right hand corner, just above that other phrase. So I think, yeah, this is where I move that title, and it's going to go across the photo like that with that lovely word a little bit further across. I have to glue it down because I've messed about so many times. It's not going to stick. So yeah, it's going to go there. And I can't remember whether I add the date on camera or off camera to that tab, but I do add the date on using my roller date stamp on a scrap piece of white cardstock. You'll see it in the close-ups at the end. Little bulldog clip at the top there, and then I'm just going to go through the ephemera pack and papery pack just to see if there's anything else I can add. I do find this little washi sticker that I'm going to add shortly, but first I find this circle that I punched out of a pattern paper, so I'm just adding that to the bottom there. And this lovely frame, just like a squiggle, so that's going to go up at the top. I'll just tuck it underneath that label. And I think this is where I find that washi sticker. Yep. So first of all I pop it to the right there of the title, but in the end it goes down a little bit further down the page. I just didn't like how it sat there. Again, it was changing the shape of all my elements. So I'm going to pop it down there. And then I'm going to come in with some gold splatters to finish off. And that's the layout done. So I hope you like what I did with this background. Don't ever throw things away if you think they're mistakes. Just put them to one side. You can always find another way of using them on a future layout. And that's it. Thanks again. Thank you for joining me. I shall see you soon. Bye.